So my whole point there is, yo, free Puff. He gonna get out anyway. I think he's gonna get exonerated. So y'all see me here way before this happens.
How much he paying you?
Now
He the bitch with free
again. I'm Marcel.
And I'm Tanya.
I'm Dawn.
Each of us has picked a topic that caught our attention. And today, we're going to unpack them together with our special guest.
And I am Bridgette Birch. I'm so excited to be here with the three of you. This is going to be a pretty amazing afternoon, I believe it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
So I read an interesting statistic that in 2025, 17% of all new marriages were interracial.
Wow.
You didn't know that.
Did not know that.
I believe it.
And what's even more interesting, it said that interracial marriages with a white woman were more likely to fail than interracial marriages with a Black or Asian woman.
Okay.
So what that brings me to is, one, I'm a little shocked that Black men choose white and non-Black women a lot. But one thing I've noticed is the white men are checking for us, boo. They are checking for us. So I wonder why more...
We testify.
I always wonder why more Black women, they don't choose to date interracially, especially when so many Black men are not choosing us.
I think, I mean, and this is just my opinion, from, women that I have interacted with in talking about interracial relationships. I think a lot comes from what we've been taught. The African American community, we have put so much on our children to like carry on things that are just like non-existent. Like, these traditions or these things that are just like, no, let me maybe think out of the box about my happiness first. And that doesn't come in a particular like shape, size, color, whatever you want to call it. I have been in an interracial relationship for the past 10 years. And I will say prior to that, I have always dated. I was an equal opportunity dater. I'm more stimulated and attracted to intelligence, than anything else. And that can come in white, Black, Chinese. I mean, I've literally dated them all, like Asian, white,
that experience?
European, everything. Which one? The Asian? Well, so let me backtrack a little bit. So I've always dated. I mean, my I have a 31 now year old daughter by someone that is Hispanic. After him, but mostly, I mean, because I've known Tanya all my life, pretty much since I was about 18 or 19 years old. And, back in the day, I mean, it was all hood dudes. You know what I'm saying? It was like, but they were like, so there was that. And then when you get a little bit older and you get a little bit more mature and you start understanding yourself and what your needs are, then you stop looking at, okay, what does he look like? How much money does he have? Is he this? Is he that? I moved back to the DC area in 20, and I'd been married, second marriage to someone that I grew up with here. Black guy, didn't work out. So many things going on, so many issues and stuff that, he needed to work out. And so when I moved back here in 2013, I tried to date, Black guys. There were some that I knew from back in the day, but for some reason, the brothers, y'all be in competition.
It's
y'all gotta
thing.
have
DC
like
boy
2
thing, right?
and 3 and whatever. I don't know what that is like internally. I felt like and that's not all Black men, but I feel like what are they competing with? Why do you need to have, like, if you get, a good woman, lock it down and just do that. So anyway, I said, this is it for me, because it wasn't working out. I'm like, I can't do the whole, like, I'm a starter player. I'm not a second string. I don't ride the bench. I don't ride the bench. And especially at like 40 something years old, like, who has time for that? Yeah. So I did the Tinder thing and the whatever back in the day. And everyone that I started that was attracted to me were like lobbyists, professors, and they were all white. And they were all professional men. I didn't have any like horror stories with like my online dating when I started doing that. Even dated an Italian guy for a while, but he wanted me to move to Italy, and I was just like, no. I had a kid in college. I was like, no, man, I'm not gonna just pack up and leave and do it, But I had great experiences. I mean, just they'll tell you everything. They'll just be like, it like tell you more information than you like really want to know about stuff. Like what you ate for dinner. Like, okay, you ate something. What you do? Yeah, my mama,
Right.
like kissing. Like, I mean, they were just so open, and that was just
yeah.
so refreshing to just be with someone that I felt like didn't need to hide anything from me. If they went out on a date with someone else, they would tell you. It was like, okay, this is
Right. Different.
this
Yeah.
is really new. Can I say a bad word?
Yeah.
Some really new shit for me. I'm like, okay, I don't gotta look through no phones and all that, So it was just,
Right.
it was a refreshing experience. And so and then everywhere I would go, I would just meet them. Like I would meet, and I would have girlfriends of mine, like black girlfriends, that were like, "Where do you meet them?" I'm like, "White men are in the world, they're just out there."
Out there, right.
But I think because I have never met a stranger. I mean, I'm just meeting the two of you today, and I felt like it feels like I've known you forever. I mean, I think that's a lot of times I've talked to white men, and they're like, well, I'm attracted to black women, but I was always afraid. I was just like, what? That's some stereotypical stuff. The mad black woman kind of thing. And so they're afraid to approach us. But I'm like,
What's that out there?
I
feel like a lot of black men put that out there. In
so
the
that
universe.
too. So
A lot of black men put out that black women are angry.
That's not true.
That is
that
absolutely
is not a
There's some
narrative
of that.
generated
There
by
is some
black
of that
men.
is real.
You guys think?
I absolutely know that's not true.
I don't know. Check my comments.
I don't, but listen again. The black men are not running around trying to scare everybody off. First of all, black women set your own narrative, so don't even put that on us and my gender. Let's stop that.
I think we typically have a strong, like we know what we want.
Yeah.
And so my current, and he is my best friend. I met him in 2015, and we joke about this to this day. When I met him, I used to go to this place in Silver Spring, and the bartender was like, and I used to take my dates in there. And I was like, these white boys ain't coming back here. So I would like rotate them and take them in there. You know what I'm saying? And so the bartender was a, really awesome black guy there. He was like, he slid, my man's drink down there. But this was the first night I met him. And I'm like, who is he sliding this drink? He was like, hey man, slide your drink down. I was like, who you sliding your drink? And then I looked and I was like, yeah, slide his drink on down here. Cause he is all of that. And the bartender was like, I know you love your white boys. And I'm like, that's not necessarily it. I like who likes me.
Yeah.
Period.
My partner, the night I met him, had a conversation with him, and I felt like, I could not imagine doing life without this person. Even if he's my friend, if he's whatever. And I put my phone number in his phone and called myself. He was like, I thought you were crazy. And I was like, I am, but I know what I want.
Yeah.
And I knew that he was the person for me.
And I guess I haven't evolved to that. I think I am living proof of like the rhetoric that our ancestors have. I have never dated outside my race.
Really?
Not once. I love black men. It is a lot of shit that comes with them. And I think for me, I have the understanding that I'm going to have to deal with a lot of BS. You learn how to navigate it until you don't want to navigate it anymore. And then you just move on.
But why are you not? Is it you're afraid?
I'm not afraid because I deal with them in other ways. I really do. But I do feel like in some ways I am abandoning my community. I always speak pro-black this, support black business. Everything is pro-black. So it just doesn't really align with the vision or even the things that I say out of my mouth. Now I really do. I'm born. Yeah.
I mean, you're like, okay, he kind of,
But I don't even know if I really see them at this point because I do feel like that's just not a direction I'm going. So there's no need to look that way. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
But I mean, Marcel is an amazing, beautiful
Right.
of a black man.
Yes.
And no one's saying that if you don't like, if you look at, Mitch, just using the, sir. If you look at Mitch, then there's something wrong with like you're turning your back on a Marcel. No one's saying that by
Well,
you
my mom
dating.
said that. So that's what I'm saying.
Well,
Not that I am my own woman, and I've evolved in a lot of different ways, but that is one area that I think I have stayed true to the teachings of my my mom,
yeah.
my grandmother. Now, as it pertains to my children, they're young, but they are in different environments. What people don't understand, sometimes even your environment dictates it.
Definitely.
I did not even have connections with white people until I was in my 30s.
Yeah.
And people have a hard time. I went to DC public schools, no white kids. I went to a beauty college, no white people. I then opened my own business. I hired all black people. I serviced all black people. It would be a sprinkle here and there. Not until I moved in the upper class or upper middle class neighborhoods where I wanted my children to be educated in the environments that I want them to grow up in, that I start having everyday actions or with other people other than black people. It just was not. DC was chocolate city to the core when I was growing up. You would be hard pressed to find a white person.
Yeah.
And I have never, even from day one when I started interacting with them, I've never been intimidated by them. So that's not the case.
Right.
I am comfortable in any room that I walk in this world. So that's not it. For me, it just does feel like I am abandoning the brothers who need us most.
I felt like that for a long
Well,
time.
you're gonna be on the island.
But she, no, she's not. No, she's not.
Until I
because-
did. Until I did.
No, but actually, she said a couple of things that like I totally agree with. First of all, what she was saying about just what she has built as her own personal self and her brand, what she says every day, there needs to be consistency there. Two, my mom said the same thing. She's like, when I was dating early, she was like, you can date whoever you want, just don't bring a white girl up in here. I was very young when she said that. And I could see in her face. But remember, she's off the civil rights movement now. You know, like that's a totally different era.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm portraying, like she said, I just felt like if I did that, I'd be betraying her. That's my mom. And, and then thirdly, right, I did at a young age not listen to her, and I went out one time. I remember, like she said, this is Chocolate City, right?
Right.
I went out in Chocolate City, and I'm out with this Italian girl. She was bad, because the rule is, if you're going to go out with a Caucasian, they better be straight. You come around with women. And by the way, black women are intimidating the black men. So that make what you said made no sense. But I go out in public, and I felt like the world was staring at me. And I felt like I could see.
But when was that?
But that's what I'm saying,
like
though. But it builds on what she
period
was saying.
that?
This is 90s,
Okay,
right?
90s.
And I'm kind of feeling like after that experience, and I remember just looking around that restaurant, some women were looking at me like, for real, this what we doing? And like, I just remember feeling all that pressure. And again, I'm my own man, and I'm gonna do it my way. I've proven that to this date. But on that one issue, after those early experiences, I was like, yeah, that. And then it's like she said, now as a grown man with my own people, my own family, I do feel like I would be watering down the brand. Like I'm not saying my kids can't date, because I've had this conversation with them. Look, it's like Tanya said. When you are fortunate enough to be successful, you're gonna find yourself in a different space. My kids are growing up, everybody, every other color, you know. So
I'm saying, why is it okay for your children, but you're like, because I heard both of you say my children can date whoever they'd like.
But I'm
So
like,
you're not carrying that. You didn't carry your mother, and that's gonna make me cry thinking about your mother. You didn't carry that down to McKenna and your boys.
No,
you didn't. I don't. You have two boys.
I have two girls and one boy.
Two girls, but you're not saying you can bring anybody in this house, but you can't bring. I didn't hear that come out of either of your mouths.
We're not, but at the same time, they already have the understanding that I would prefer that they keep it within the culture, right? But it's what she's saying, because I'm black everything. I'm black business. Everybody, ask him, cameraman back there, my man D. I'm finding black business before I do anything in any category, right? So it's just kind of consistent for me to go, yeah, like y'all keep it. But again, if they were to come home, actually Bryce loves Asian girls. Fuck I'm a dude. I'm short now.
Right, take it to a whole
Right, he
nother
went a
level.
whole nother
Yeah,
lane.
yeah.
I don't even know how the hell the kid got there. But the point is, I'm not going to make him feel any other way,
Right.
nor that girl she walked through my door. We're good. We still family. So it's not that anymore.
So, but why can't that translate over into if someone were, you know, Becky with the good hair, whatever, like, you know, if she walks up and she's like, hey, Marcel, how are you doing today? Would you like to have coffee or whatever? You just not even, and she's a beautiful, attractive woman.
But I will say that it is different for men than it is for women, because white women traditionally take the wealth from black men. They do when they marry you all.
Because they're in those environments
They're the
early.
ones who are going to
and the
right. They're the ones.
Let's go now. Jalen Hurts, my man, he holding it down.
No,
That's not
but
that,
that's
that
not-
generation.
but that's
that
not the point
generation
I'm
has
making.
changed though.
Right, but
But what
that's
were
not
you
the
saying-
point
what
I'm
were you-
making. I'm saying that as a black man, traditionally, if you marry a white woman and you divorce, she's taking half of your wealth.
Oh yeah, we know that.
Okay,
That's
so
all
what
that.
I'm saying is that as for a black woman, why would I continue to date a race of men who don't respect what I bring to the table, who I am, how strong I am, how I stand?
That's not all black men, though.
It's not all black, and I'm not speaking
But you're talking
as
about
an
your
entire race.
Your group.
I'm not talking as an entire race. I'm just saying that there is a large percentage of black men who don't really hold it down for y'all. You might be a great man. Your boys might be great, but you got to know that your cousins ain't right.
But everybody not perfect though.
I'm not saying people have to be perfect, but as a black woman who has always dated black, I've dated twice outside of my race, and it was amazing. And I did feel guilty, like maybe I should stay within my race, but all bets are off now because I'm tired. I'm tired of trying to teach people how to treat me. So if I meet someone outside of my race that chooses to come at me in a more respectful, a more consistent manner than what I've been experiencing, that's what I'm going to do.
Your thing.
I'm going to be colorblind.
I would say that European white men don't have the like baggage that American white men and American, like when you, because the European guys, they're like, I've dated African women, they don't really understand the whole like race stuff that we've dealt with growing up.
They don't. Now that's the part right there. Of
that
course
our
they don't.
parents have dealt with growing up. So there was mostly that was what I was going for when I started dating, was mostly because I didn't want to have to deal with all the BS. But you know, my partner, I mean, he has black children. His previous wife.
So he's always been black.
I mean, he came and I say all the time, are you ever attracted to white women? He was like, not really. I mean, he likes what he likes. I mean, he is, this woman didn't work. The previous one, I mean, she didn't, I mean, he was caring for her. So, you know, the whole like stay at home, we don't know that. We don't know that in this generation. We don't know what it feels like. I can stay at home and I don't have to, and you gonna just go to work and take it.
But to your point, with a lot of that, I also do feel that if I chose to date white, he would have to be wealthy. Because I'll tell you why. Because I feel like, number one, as a white man in America with white privilege, if you can't get your shit together, how are you gonna lead me and my life and my finances and my household? So for me,
So you said they already starting with a leg up.
yeah, you already start with a leg up. And I had to fight. Marcel had to fight. All of y'all had to fight to get to where you are.
You want to know something? Not to cut you off, but do you want to know who I've received the most support from professionally?
White women.
Thank you. Now that's why I'm not seeing, but that's why I said
white men.
And
I
me
agree
too.
with that.
But
Every job, every promotion, I ain't even thinking about it.
No, but what I'm saying is,
white men.
but listen, she just went over to something else though, because we're not talking about dating anymore. What we're saying is the support on the way up. She's absolutely right. And again, every real opportunity that I was given, every mentor that I had that really helped me was, I'm gonna say a percentage of them, a nice percentage of them. Shout out to Mark Gilbert. they help me out a lot more than my own people.
No,
but that,
I agree with
but hold
that.
on. But that's my fight though.
Yeah.
So I'm still taking it to my people like, listen, we're gonna do better than this.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
agree with
and you know what I mean? So even now that I have my platform, I'm not doing what happened to me. It's time for me to step up and bring people
No,
along.
and I totally agree with that because I think we've all received help that way.
Right.
But that doesn't mean I would date
Poor white guy.
no.
I mean,
Not
just,
doing it.
I mean,
You
you
can
know,
go
What
with
is
what
it
you want to
for
call
black
it.
guys?
Yeah, I mean, so nobody poor. That's crazy.
you don't have-
like, no poor people.
you have
Right.
standards. You
Right.
have standards, period. I mean, you're a beautiful, successful black woman or woman, period. You should have standards. You should want to date someone that is professional, well educated, well rounded. And it does help if they have their own bag, right? So, I mean, you know, I get it.
And keep in
get
mind,
it.
wealthy is based off of perspective.
Right.
Yeah, you just want someone that's comfortable and
Right.
you know,
So
you're
my
not
idea of
struggling
wealthy
with
may
someone.
be different than
Yeah.
someone else's idea of wealthy.
Yeah.
So
But-
it's based off of perspective,
Yeah,
but they definitely will have to be doing significantly better than me.
Right, you got black men
Or
out there
as
to do that.
well
But a
as
black
you
man, I would probably take someone that's doing less. They wouldn't have to be doing that well.
All right.
But as you say that, it kind of puts me in the mind of a lot of rhetoric that we see online nowadays. This narrative that so many black men hate black women.
Yeah, what's that? What's that? That sounds so far from true. I mean, I am so sick and tired of everybody acting like just because a black male isn't in line with a certain black woman, we don't like that woman. No,
I think-
come on. And
No,
we all-
Marcel. No.
You got-
There should be a certain level of respect. You just sat here and said that we should stick together as a race in terms of supporting each other.
Yes.
So that means that as a black man, if you see a black woman make a statement online that you don't agree with, you can calm your little fingers down and not respond. You don't have to go in and start bashing her and being negative and nasty because you disagree. So that's all I'm saying. And I do think a lot of it stems from, I mean, if you look at history, in slavery, they kept black men away from, black women. Even when you start looking at, the welfare system.
Yes.
They made it a point that if you were
have a
on
male
welfare, you
here.
couldn't even have a male in your household. Then the drug war came and they locked up two-thirds of the people that were locked up at that time were African Americans. So what did that leave us with? A whole bunch of single mothers out here struggling, trying to figure out how to make it work. So it put us in a position where now we have to be strong. We have to be the head of the household because they took our black men away. So
In so
now,
many different ways.
right, so
Very
now that we're
systemic,
being
yes.
strong, they have a problem with
Yeah.
that strength.
I don't understand.
would you have a problem with your partner, and I'm saying partner as in a female, making more money than you make?
Absolutely not. And if you go read my book, Hiding the Black View, yes, plugged it.
It's actually an amazing book.
It really is.
I know.
So do you have you're okay with
She was making way more money than me when I met her.
Okay.
Right? And I really, really appreciated her personality because she was so chill with it. Like you wouldn't even have known her profession, what she did. I was more attracted than that than anything else. And my point there is, like I said, come on now. Again, a lot of stuff that we talk about breaks down about personalities and preferences and who can handle it. Right? Oh, you're right, and I agree with you. I've watched it myself. Some guys cannot handle a female that's basically doing better than they are and bringing the bacon, and they look great, and whatever your criteria is, right? Some guys do get intimidated by that, but I would say that's relevant across all cultures.
It is
Not
relevant,
just black.
but keep in mind, listen to what I'm saying. I'm not blaming black men for that. Society has put us in this position where you all are feeling,
irrelevant in our lives. And
Let me-
don't matter to us.
But you
and I
do
will
matter.
say that I do feel like when women make more money than men, it manifests itself in so many different ways.
Yes.
When I'm talking, so like for probably 70% of my marriage, I was the breadwinner of the, and I feel like when you start bringing into like, I do feel like men want to have the upper hand in some way. So they start bringing you down in other ways. Not saying that my ex ever did that from a verbal standpoint, but I do think sometimes you can secretly look for ways to get the other hand, i.e., infidelity or other things that may happen where you're feeling like, so I am back in charge of this situation. So I do think there is some level of feeling like we have to be knocked back down into our place, no matter
always
where
have
some of
Hatred.
us.
That's a
It
that goes
is.
back
It
to
does
that. Yeah.
fall
So
under
let
that
me
umbrella.
let me
It does.
let me give you this example. So I mentioned that my second marriage, I married someone that I grew up with. I mean, I've known this person since I was 14 years old. You know, at some point, I gained some weight. And he looking at me like, what's wrong? Why are you here? And I'm like, well, I mean, I'm maturing. I'm not 14. I'm not, our bodies change as we get older. I was pregnant, lost a baby at 5 months pregnant. And you would have thought like I had been sitting at home eating Twinkies, and like after I lost that baby, he expected me to
bounce right back.
And he said, a black man said to me, "Well, I'm not having sex with you because I want to. It's just to fulfill a need at this point." This is a black man that I have known since I was 14 years old. Said that to the person who helped him get a job, get his life. He has an amazing life right now. He has an amazing life right now, and I'm happy for that. I'm happy that I was able to support him and be there. So I have paid my dues to a black man and supported him even when he didn't support me. And so that's where I feel like the hatred comes in. You gotta really hate me to not love me through a traumatic experience that I had gone through, all of the things I've done to support you. I feel like that is another part of where when people say, well, black men hate black women, you gotta hate.
Layers to it. There's a lot of layers.
Even in that situation,
Y'all love your mamas,
just not
but y'all just don't love the women.
Yeah, but just in that situation, he didn't have to say that.
Did not have to say
Even
that.
if he felt that way. And I find that black men feel like they have to say all these nasty things to try to humble black women for what I don't know what the reason is. And I even still take up for them and say, you know what, the history of black America, I can understand why they may feel how they feel in some situations. So we're still taking up for them, even when they hurt us every day.
Pick us apart.
Even when, and keep in mind, black men, they're the ones that come to you with, oh, let me see, we'll figure it out. Let's see where it goes. The white men, they're intentional. I haven't met not one who's not like, what are we doing? Like, where are we leading this? The black men are the ones, you get 20% of black men who are intentional, 80% that are full of shit.
Nah, that's she be bashing the guys, but I mean, when I'm hearing the conversation though, I mean, with each individual male in every scenario that you guys just presented, there's a certain level of emotional intelligence that's involved in these situations though. Like, you don't betray somebody that basically helped you get to where you're going on any level. Period. Like, if it's going to work out or not, right? Like, if somebody helped you and you know they were essential in your progress and your maturation, if you sit there and then you betray them, that's between that guy and God, right? Because that's just
emotional intelligence.
Right. So, but what I'm saying is just because she's pointing out situations where men are detached. And let me explain something though. This is a very complicated issue because there's no man on the planet that doesn't want to be head of household. So now you have somebody, and that's why I say emotional intelligence comes in, because he's trying to figure out how he can still have his manhood and have his ego in place without looking like he's not running the show. Because everybody sees who's running the show.
Yeah.
Like this is, that's what I'm saying about another level of thought process here. Everybody knows who's doing what, and just from just looking, and our friends and our close friends, they know who's doing what. You measure up his income. He working at Metro, her ass a doctor. Everybody know off the bat who's making the money. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about how he's trying to figure out how to still have his place in this world and be there. Like you said, it's a lot of
hurt us in the process.
I do not agree with that at all.
Well, you need to check your cousins. They're not right.
I don't agree. Again, I totally say, any male that feels like he's making himself bigger by tearing someone down, period, has lost their way. That's I'm totally saying that.
But we are saying the same thing.
Right.
But why are so many of our men losing their way and not feeling like that we are the ones who are arm in arm with them, supporting them? Why? Then it's like, you just like forget all about our nurture.
Because let's be clear,
push us down
and let's
on
be
your
clear,
way to try to get to where you want to be.
Yeah, but you all saw the video. You saw the comments. You have 9,000 comments, and you can take my 80%. 80% of them are men being negative and nasty for no reason because they disagree.
Hold up now. I mean, because we about to
Since we talk about keyboard gangsters,
so now
I feel like they're not nurtured.
Well, we're drilling down on keyboard gangsters now, and here we go. When I watched that, Dawn, and again, we've had this conversation, and as we grow, we're gonna have to filter out the world because the world gonna always have shit to say about everything we do. So that's another issue. But when I looked at those specific comments, the first thing I thought about for the first 3 weeks was, I was like, she done hurt their feelings. Because the only guys that were chiming in were the exact type of guys she was talking about.
Yeah,
Everybody else.
So you really did hit a nerve.
She hit a nerve. She touched the shit out of the nerve.
I wasn't talking about anyone.
No, but she sparked the nerve. What she touched on was so accurate that it sparked that reflex. But it was from the guys that you literally pointed out. They exposed themselves. That wasn't all of us. That was not all of us, Dawn. You just saw.
I said 80%.
But no, that was not even 20%. That was 20% of the losers. That was not my 80% of all the rest of us. I was sitting right there.
I think it's
Excuse
more.
me, ma'am. I was sitting right there when you said it, and that shit went right over my head. Cause that missed me totally. I didn't even think about what you said till I saw it on video.
It
Like,
doesn't
damn,
apply to you.
that's my whole point.
And I get that.
Right. So those losers,
and I get
the
that
losers got mad because,
dusties.
but the
I
losers,
get
right.
it.
So what are we talking about here? That's not everybody.
dusties.
That's the small portion of
But
people
what
that you actually really knocked out of the park. Like,
no, but what I'm saying is those are still men who are going to hurt a black woman.
Well, that's a small percentage, though.
Those are men that are hurt themselves.
Yeah, but it's not
And
a
you can
small
see it.
percentage.
Those are men that are hurt themselves.
They are,
Absolutely.
but they
need
are hurting
attention.
someone out there.
They are hurting
They're
someone
talking
out there.
negative to someone.
But
they're
you know
tearing
what?
down
I
someone.
say
Right,
to
that's
that, I say they're not hurting me.
Thank you.
You not in my space.
Not
You
even
just want
close.
you at home. They probably have very small phalluses that they're trying to manage in their head. Like they're trying to deal with that. That's a lot to grapple with. You know what I'm saying? When you have all of these things going on, and you got to know that you go home every night and you can't fix that. You can't get a BBL for it. You can't get nothing.
Oh, they have surgery for it
You're
now.
just stuck with that, okay? And so those are the people that want you to feel some kind of way because they feel some kind of way about themselves.
Thank you.
And my thing is, I don't give a flip.
Yeah.
When I go out with my man and I see people and look around and I'm like, whatever, all right, because we good over here. We are good. And I hate that you had that experience with the young lady that you mentioned that you felt so, because that's probably, obviously that was traumatic for you.
Yeah, it was.
That you just said no more.
Yeah, this ain't worth it.
And you got to think of black women will stare a black man down.
Oh yeah.
Not even thinking about they were. I saw them.
And will
looking
look at you
They
like.
ain't got that look like.
Right.
But she's right. But at the same time, like I love what she was saying about people that are sitting home behind their little telephones, and all they can do is lash out immaturely because they can't speak. They can't articulate their positions. So instead they call you names. They can't think and write something to basically
thank God I
articulate
don't
their
care.
position, right?
Right.
But that's my point. That's what I started with, right? No, we don't care. So let's stop sending messages. But my point there is, like I said, at the end of the day, that's not everybody, Dawn.
We
that's
don't
just
think
a
it's
small percentage.
everybody.
You started with that. You
I
said
did not.
80-20.
80.
She said 80-20.
I did 80.
On that subject.
I shared with her how disappointed I was. I love black men. I've never dealt with men. I've never had a man talk to me in a way that those comments came in. So I just didn't even think that you would ever speak to a black queen in that.
Oh, no, I'm not a queen.
manner.
Yeah, you're not.
You are to me, so that's why
I am
I'm
a
saying
queen.
it.
I
You
think that
speak
you a
to-
10 all day. What are you talking about? I'm talking about you.
That's so
I'm just saying,
unfortunate.
First
like,
of all, I didn't
just-
call myself a 10,
it
but
did
the
over
thing
my
is,
I call
eyes
myself
to
10.
something.
you called
Yeah,
yourself
I
a 10.
call myself a 10, so send them my way next time.
Right.
Everybody over there yapping. Yeah,
But
do that.
I mean,
That's unfortunate.
But
that
no,
you have
I
that.
am a queen, and you don't need a king to
be a queen. Yeah.
But again, that's, I think, for this to nail this, like, social media is going to be social media. Unfortunately, it's a part of our society now. We have generations growing up on it. I think that, what you said was totally dead on. But that's what the reaction is going to be when you call people out.
Yeah.
And if they can't really, level up and actually meet you where you are and explain their positions, then they're just going to throw jabs. And I think that that's weak. Like, if you have to sit behind a keyboard and throw jabs at somebody that 90% of the time she's not throwing it back,
Right.
then that means you're a sucker. You're a sucker no matter what, because
Right.
you're swinging on somebody that's not going to swing back. So, stop it. Step up your game, level up. If you want something, if you have something to say on any subject and you want to chime in on comments, be articulate and intelligent and promote your views. That's what it's for.
And you can disagree.
that's so
Yeah.
beneath them
so
to be articulate.
But what they saying when we talking
Like
about
what?
the hatred of women, how do you feel like that plays into? I see you got your free puff shirt on. Did you feel
puff.
like, because I speaking about the Daphne Joy situation, and I'm not even getting all into the actual case, but I know a lot of us were like shocked to hear what that allowance was for that type of treatment.
what was the allowance?
$10,000
He was paying her rent, which was $10,000.
which paying her rent was a whole nother story within itself. Why are we
Yeah.
talking about
Wait,
rent?
so he was paying rent in addition to
No,
the 10,000?
her rent was $10,000, and he was he's currently still paying her rent. But in exchange
$10,000,
for
you can't
all
live
of the
somewhere for-
sexual acts that you have to deal with, I think it's crazy. I think it really just shows you that people are following this persona of these bad bitch influencers, thinking that is something
yeah.
that you should aspire to be.
Especially our
when-
young girls. They think
Yeah,
that
and
yeah.
I think she exposed that there are a lot of them that aren't really getting
Right.
what you think they're getting. You know, a lot of them are excited just to get flued out
Yeah.
for $250 and don't even get first class. I'm just saying they excited
Yeah.
for that, and
Yeah.
now you can see that you would subject yourself
to that.
It's
And she had a
the
child.
biggest
Doesn't she have a
thing
child?
ever. By 50 Cent.
Okay.
That's why he don't mess with.
Oh, that's the girl that he's always talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Yeah.
boy. That's the. Oh, wow.
Probably
Yeah,
so.
that's
I mean, you
so-
know.
Look, he ain't saying nothing about his
But I
boy
even
right
just
here.
wonder.
Because,
But it even makes you wonder about Cassie. What is it that as women,
Right.
somebody in her life could have said or done
Nothing,
to help her
probably.
understand that she was being abused?
Nothing. I think you're being abused at that point, but you just like, this life is just so great.
But
So you think
is
she was
it?
in it for the life?
I'm saying it's so great in the sense of he's opening so many doors for you, not necessarily
But
for
he didn't even
you
put out her
professionally.
album.
That's what I'm saying. Not for you professionally. At that point, what was she going to do?
But it felt like that he
was
didn't
so
open any
young.
doors. It
He
felt like
did
the
not-
requirement was for
I'm
her to
saying
open her
opening
legs.
that-
There were
and
no
her
doors
mouth,
being opened.
apparently.
He
Yeah.
was opening doors that she would not have naturally been able to open on her own. Meaning, like all the award shows, and you got all the design people coming to dress
But if
you.
you're
and
not
different-
benefiting from that for your personal gain, you're
then
really
you dip out.
But that goes back to self-esteem,
that's-
because at the end of the day, Cassie is beautiful enough that she could have met anyone else
But
in
you're not
Hollywood.
thinking. You're not thinking like that. Well, you were a G from back in the day, so have always been business minded, and I mean, I'm just meeting you, but I feel like the way you and Marcel interact, that you were G too. You handle yours, and so what I'm saying. So what I'm saying,
soft
you
and
guys
demure.
cannot fathom.
I can't fathom.
that.
I mean, I'm not trying but I mean, for the allowance that he's given, I was probably
That's
making
really
that in
nothing.
my 20s.
That's what I'm. Yeah, well.
And I'm not trying to be funny, as she said.
That's
in my
$120,000 a year.
I was in my prime,
Right.
and I could date, and I did date a lot of men who had that level of status.
Yeah.
But I did not ever abandon
who
the
you were,
importance of who
but
I was and the importance
You
of what
always
I could
stayed
bring
true.
to the table.
You always stayed.
Yeah, I wasn't.
So what does Puff have over these women?
The
Because
paper.
J-Lo was the only one that escaped.
It's the paper.
Well,
but
she
I don't-
already had. She was already. Her
Yeah, she
her
got
star
out.
was already
Already up there,
rising
exactly.
Yeah.
as she was dating him, so she didn't really need.
Because I
him.
feel like he has
But these
all of
other
them in the
women
chokehold.
need
Even
him.
the baby mama Misa, she's still around because
Yeah,
he
they
has
they-
Thanksgiving dinner with all the baby mamas. Like
As he should. Anyway, but I mean, it's a couple of things there though. That every time this Cassie conversation comes up, that this kind of rubs me the wrong way. First of all, Cassie got 20 M's to basically go
After
on
the
without
fact.
she got 20 M's though, and then she turns around and she becomes a state witness against this guy, right? Secondly,
have a choice.
But she had a choice. Then the secondly, you talk about the case in general right now. Y'all understand RICO, right?
Yeah.
Racketeering, influencing, and organization. What? Corrupt.
well, we're
That
sure
bad boy 80 million records sold. You're not going to sit here and tell me that the government has proved the case that this man used
I don't
a
think so. Yeah,
I
record
don't think
label
so either.
and now he's basically some mob guy and he was making. I mean, that statute alone is for the mob. John Gotti, a man that has people under city buildings right now.
he said
entombed
Kid
in
Cudi's
concrete.
house.
Yeah. And again, nothing ever tied to him. Do you have Puff out there setting the car on fire? No.
Well, he
All
told somebody
work.
to do
Yeah,
it.
somebody told somebody to do it, right? So my whole point there is, yo, free Puff. He gonna get out anyway, because I think he's gonna get exonerated. So y'all see me here way before this happens. But he got a ace up his sleeve because he is smart
How much
thinking.
he paying you?
Now, you know what?
He the bitch
Look,
with
again, I cannot mess with Trump,
You
but I
ain't been to-
guarantee Trump lets him off.
You been to a
I
free
guarantee it. The man, because he's a sexual deviant, he
Have
don't
you
deserve.
been to a free
He don't
throw?
deserve.
Why
rights.
won't you answer the
Does he?
question?
Does he
Have
deserve
you
rights?
been
So I will
to
agree.
a free throw?
I will agree with you that the RICO charges don't line up with his all of his other things that he has done. He is a extremely flawed human being.
Absolutely.
His choice and I don't. What baffles me is that he has these children that are watching him.
Right. That's scary.
And you have these daughters that are watching you that
Yes.
have been exposed to so much stuff.
Crazy,
You know what I'm saying?
right?
Like at these young ages, and that should be enough for him. If your boy gets off, he should just be like, you know what? I'm done.
I don't think that's going to be that.
That's
What
not-
does
I don't think
look
it's gonna be
like?
that
That's not his
either.
personality.
But the RICO,
He gonna be like, I'm
does
back.
not line up with
And
that.
not only back, I feel like he's gonna come back with a vengeance because I feel like so many
100%.
people did not stand up for him. The people that he thought would.
Right.
100%.
He held these tapes over their head, but that still wasn't enough for them to fall in
Yeah.
line.
Right.
So how does that look when he does get off? What that looks like?
But you know what? Like I said, and this is. I know all of us have arrived at this place where, look, let's give this man grace and see what happens. Because I mean, he's been incarcerated for a little bit of time. Domestic violence, guilty. If they're charged with that,
Right.
I would think a domestic violence charge. He probably be in
definitely,
there.
definitely.
He probably right. So
Yeah.
let's
Oh, yeah.
let's just say he's done some time. Like you said, that fickle industry he's in. We all saw them all in the parties and everything. Now everybody's silent. So I mean that tells you a lot about that industry. But at the end of the day, I agree with you. I would hope a humbled Puff would come out
Yeah.
and really understand
Yeah.
his role. Because let me wrap this up, and I'm gonna be quite honest with you. All of my black fathers said exactly what she said. They were like, I could not be in court and my kids see that.
Yeah.
That
You know,
would
like
just crush
we
me.
actually had conversation
Yeah.
about if I would even let them go.
Right.
You know, like because that is so bad.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
as just a father and a
Yeah.
person for my kids to see that,
Right.
it would put me in such a bad headspace. So like he has to deal with that. Like he is still human. So I mean, at some point, let's hope that he saw that and said something and this change.
Well, they left out of the courtroom several times.
Yeah.
Well, I think they made them leave. I think those children are probably at this point desensitized from some of this stuff because they've seen some
Yeah,
of
they
it.
had to
Right.
see it.
They've seen the rotation of
Right.
women. I mean, all of them have like different moms and different whatever. But it's just, goes back to what you were saying about how, young women now are looking up to like the Daphne Joys and all these other, women that all their claim to fame is they have nice bodies and they've dated like what's her name that has the babies by Future and the football players and the what, and it's just like and Bow Wow. It's like really like you just racking, you just checking off boxes like, okay, I got this one for 18 years, I'm gonna get this amount for, and then you go to the next. Like, what kind of life is that to aspire to? And
that's what the men consider a 10.
Yeah, well.
You know what? I love what Bridgette said, though. This is about, we see what's in front of them, but that's what's going to make us great parents, right?
Yep.
Like, I show my kids that, and I know that's not what we're aspiring to be right there. That right there is fake. It's false, and that's not the life you want, right? That's why you're going to do you first.
We need to clone you, Marcel.
And it's like, and really,
no, we don't want to clone him.
But again, I love.
You want to clone Marcel?
Thank you. I
you
love
taking clone Marcel.
I always listen. I love for my daughters and I love to show them strong black women. That's all I do. Yeah. Right? So I know they're going to get other visuals, but I emphasize that.
Yeah.
Like, just look at her. Look at what she's doing. Like, put yourself first, right? Get your education, get your stability, get your own everything, and then entertain these guys. I've been fighting with my 17-year-old all the way up this ladder. And I'm like, you're going to be like your big sister. Now, your big sister now, she could get married. She good because she had a great job, blah, blah, blah. Then you can bring on a man. Like, they going to always be there.
But can I say that I find that our white counterparts teach their children to get married in college, to find their husband and get married in college to younger.
Southern white.
Yeah. I mean, to get married younger.
And
think about it for a second. Because one thing that has been a common thread has been, if you're 40 and over, you should not be dating. You should have gotten married in your 20s or 30s.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you would say, get your career together first and then get married, when most men want you to get married when you're 20, in your 20s.
That's definitely a Southern thing. I think I've seen. I used to CrossFit with some white girls that, I mean, there was one of them that she wasn't married and she was watching and she would like cry. Like she would break down and I'm looking at her like, what?
Because you're expected to be married before you're 30.
Yeah.
But it's like, but you have to think, black families teach their children the complete opposite. Yeah. But then we're demonized for being strong.
Right.
Yeah, but again, I don't think that's that again. When she's
it may not be you, Marcel.
Speak in generalities.
I'm not speaking in generalities.
When it's all
but Marcel, you
when
need
it's
to
all
stop
said and done, ma'am. When it's all said and done, ma'am. Like I said, the track for success. I'm not talking about anybody's parents. I'm talking about for you, all young women out here. Do you first. Period. Like, guys, we just talking about it.
And this would be the same man telling you that you should have got married 20 years ago.
No, I would never say that because
it might not be him, but it's going to be his cousin.
But let me close this out.
What's your formula, Marcel?
Look, I'm trying to close this out with this.
Okay.
Because the whole segment, every segment we've talked about, they've actually articulated on how they've been let down by the other gender. And that's my point to you. Don't even put yourself in that situation because you want to be so solid, right? With your education, with your career, with who you pick, right? So you do that. You take care of yourself first. Don't listen to everybody else. So then when it's time for you to pick, you're going to be able to get whoever you want because real men see women that are handling their business. This is not a debate. So you're going to attract the man because a real strong man wants a real strong woman. We're not just picking anything. But again, if you're at a weak position and you didn't put time into yourself, education, now they're at the advantage. Now you have somebody that can actually manipulate you because he knows you need him. Yeah. But when he knows you don't need him, I promise you, you got a man for life.
And keep in mind that he's the 20%, not the 80%.
I'm 80 and it's the 20% I'm arguing with.
He's the 20%. 80% of the men out there are dusty.
All right.
And that's the bottom line.
Where y'all find Marcel? You got to let these ladies know.
Marcel talking a good game.
That was mean.
God, we really don't want to clone Marcel or find some
on no level.
All my DNA. Anyway. Bridge, we have had so much fun with you.
Oh my goodness. You guys are entertainment. Before the camera started rolling. Shoot.
We would love to have you back.
I would love to
Thank
come
you for
back
making
and
episode 4 happen. Hand clap.
Yes.
That's my girl right there. Nice to meet you. So closing it out, do I have to say anything or we just straight?
No, we're straight.
Yeah, I think we're straight. Episode 4, it's a wrap.